Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Academic activity not likely to resume in public universities soon as UTAG begins indefinite strike. Also coming up, Electoral Commission meets political party agents ahead of printing of ballot for the December 7 polls. But main opposition NDC has raised issues about the exercise. We'll tell you exactly what. And over 8-hour gridlock on Accra-Kumasi Highway forces passengers to abandon their vehicles and attempt to walk to their destinations. We have details for you on what is causing the unusual hold-up. Much later on the program, Parliament's Assurances Committee resumes sitting with the Defence, Sports and Energy and Transport Ministries expected to appear before it this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, let's start with our campaign on illegal mining and the industrial action declared by the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, kicks in from today. UTAG voted last night to declare the strike in favor of a national ban on mining in forest reserves, farmlands and rivers. This decision comes despite organized labor deciding to suspend its planned strike starting today, October 10, 2024. In a referendum conducted across UTAG's 15 branches, 77.95% of the 2,762 members who participated voted in favor of the strike, while 607 opposed it. Dr. Mumuni Iliasu is the National Secretary of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG. He joins us live on the line now. Good afternoon to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Doc. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You said in your statement that your strike is indefinite. What will it take to get you back to the classrooms?
A temporary ban.
Just a temporary ban?
Yes, please.
But beyond that, UTAG also says that the government's measures are not far-reaching. So wanting to ask further what exactly UTAG wanted to see to determine the government's seriousness to tackling this beyond the temporary ban you just talked about.
So there are other several issues of going about with a ban. One process of it is the revoking of the LI. The second has to do with asking for some security or military intervention in some of the mining communities. But we're saying that while these are all happening, we are asking for government to temporarily place that moratorium on the activities of illegal or, inappropriate small-scale mining in most of these areas where the water bodies are affected, so that it will now allow the country and government a space to diligently apply these measures for sanity to be brought to the environment. Basically, that is what we're calling for. But for the existing measures as outlined by government, we've been through that. Apart from the revoking of the LI, we've been through all these other task forces who really have been in the mining communities trying to clamp miners down who are not using appropriate practices. Where is the results for us to see? There's always been a challenge when it comes to that. So you and I know that such an approach can only be typically the generalist approach that do not come with so much of an outcome. And so we're saying that whilst that can inure to some level of fruition, let's offer the temporary ban and then go through these processes as outlined by government. And within 2-3 weeks, we should be seeing these other resources that we are talking about get back to its natural form. And that should be okay for us.
Beyond the temporary ban and indeed what you've highlighted, one of the things that has come up in this conversation has been whether or not there is that strong political will to deal with it. Beyond what you've said, is that something that UTAG is also looking at, and how would you want to see that manifest in terms of the government dealing with this problem?
Yes, so for us as a union, we are always ready to support and partner with government. And to come out with this strike, our position is basically that if we don't push towards this direction, we may not see immediate outcome on this our natural resource space that is polluted. And so we need that direction of government. And we know, as a listening government, we know they will hit to the core and then add further measures that can support this instant and drastic measure change that UTAG is looking for, beyond what we've had collectively as a country. That is one. We've also made our intentions well known to government that we are ready to partner with government when it comes to issues of research, from the medical front to the water related to soil to agronomy, environmental, any other thing that we so deem to be negatively impacting along the entire chain that really has not been well with us. UTAG is ready to support with not just doing research, but also on the dissemination processes, so as to let the people know both the good and bad aspect of this particular canker.
My final question to you before you go, what is the level of compliance across universities of the country? Do you know?
Yes, so far so good. Our checks since morning have revealed total compliance, and it is hopeful that while some other campuses are reopening from next week, it is hopeful that we will continue with that until there is that goodwill from government, so that immediately we get back to the classroom. We are always ready to go back, even if by close of this evening, government issues a statement indicating that the next day, tomorrow morning, we'll be back to the classroom.
Thank you very much. We'll have to end it here. And you just heard there Dr. Mumuni Iliaso. He's the National Secretary of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. And you're still here on the Midday News on True FM 92.7. Let's stay on issues related to the illegal mining and the effect of it. Residents living along the course of the Densu River in the Ghana West municipality say that they are reeling under the effect of the illegal mining upstream. Stanley Nible will report that they have stopped relying on the water body for their household chores due to its present state.
The water source for most people is safe. But the picture is different now. Residents living along the course of the Densu River blame the recent constant pollution of the river on illegal mining activities upstream.
I was born in this community, and this wasn't how the Densu looks like. When people were complaining about illegal mining, we thought it would not reach here, but here we are. Our water is polluted. The Galam said that
Last week, an amateur viral video filmed by some residents at Ayikaindo Blow in the Ghana West municipality presented a more troubling situation of the Densu River, even though illegal mining activities are carried out hundreds of miles away from the capital.
The Galam said that we were told by politicians that it is not mined in Accra. Now the reality has caught up with us, and this is what they've done to our water body.
I have come to the community to obtain first-hand information about the Densu River, also referred to as the Okuja by the indigenes. It had rained heavily the previous night, so the murky state of the river had improved, but the pollution levels are highly visible. Farmers who depend on water from the river to irrigate their crops have not been able to do so over the last fortnight.
Man, if you're quiet, no if mo fiam complain because
all the farmers along the Densu River no longer irrigate their farms because if you irrigate your crops with the water from the river, the crop withers. This is not a characteristic of the Densu River. The current state is as a result of the galamsey.
Fishing activities here have also halted, while
Stanley Niblo found that report from communities along the Densu River in the Greater Accra region. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. When we come back, we'll tell you what the spokesperson of the AG has been saying on bail applications.
Big money, money, money. Want more money, more moolah, more kudi, more sika, or more l'argent?
Yes.
Then win more moolah with 30 Ghana Cedis free credit when you play Game Park's Pick 1 and Pick 4 games for the first time.
How?
Just dial *946# or visit the nearest Game Park agent to play, get your first bet, and win on us with a 30 Ghana Cedi welcome bonus.
Oh, yes. It's all about the moolah.
Win more moolah with Game Park today. Go to GameParkGames.com for more information. Game Park is licensed by the NLA. Play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under 18 years.
And you're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Thank you for staying. Now, the Attorney General has justified the prosecution's opposition to the bail application of the Democracy Hub protesters. The spokesperson for the Attorney General, Wilberforce Mensah, maintains that the state attorneys only opposed the bail of Oliver Bakavamao according to the law, but refrained from opposing the others. Listen to exactly what he said.
The Attorney General did not backtrack on his words in respect of whether or not to oppose bail for the protesters. What the Attorney General said was that he would ask his attorneys to consider not opposing bail at the next court date. So at the next court date was not the date for the bail applications that were filed at the High Court. At the next court date was in reference to the Circuit Court. And at the Circuit Court, the Office of the Attorney General, the attorneys that were in court, did not file affidavits in oppositions to any of the applications that were made. So when, for instance, with the Bakavamao issue, for instance, it was on point of law that the opposition was raised, because under Section 96 of Act 30, when a person commits an offense, depending on the nature of the offense, while on bail, when a person commits an offense, bail becomes a bit of a challenge.
And you heard that the spokesperson of the Attorney General, Wilberforce Mensah. Now, Parliament's Assurances Committee has this afternoon resumed sitting with the Defence, Sports, Energy and Transport Ministries expected to appear before it. Chaired by North Tong MP Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Noble Crosby Annan is monitoring this for us. He joins us live on the line. Noble, I can see that the meeting has already started, but what are some of the issues that are coming up?
Well, Beatrice, at the moment, the Minister of Transport, Kweku Sema, is the one facing the committee, responding to questions or inquiries within the transport sector. So far, amongst the issues that have come up is the lack of operationalization of the whole airport. And according to the Minister, Governor's plans to turn the whole airport into a training school so that it will be able to at least recoup the money it invested in the construction of the airport. As to why the airport has not been put to use yet, that has been as a result of low patronage, according to him. So, that flights have refused or denied traveling to the whole airport because the levels of patronage is low. They're not able to break even. And for the airport not to be left to rot, government has decided to turn it into a training school, and plans are far advanced to let it happen. He's also been responding to concerns about the lack of a national airline, and that he also says that government is really concerned about this, taking steps to ensure that in the coming days, in the coming years, if you like, a national airline is procured for the nation so that it runs for the nation. There's also been concerns about security issues at the port, and that has to do with the arrest or the busting of some 8.5 kilograms of suspected cocaine that happened at Belgium somewhere in April. So he says that airport security is tight, and sometimes they allow these things to happen. They allow the arrest to be effected in the arriving country, not because Ghana is not able to effect the arrest, but just to enforce or ensure the collaboration levels between Ghana and other partners in relation to airport security. These are some of the things that have come up. As I speak with you, he's responding to questions about the Metro Mass Transport, the number of buses procured, how much has been spent, and whether the Metro Mass Transport operation is making money in general, as well as some other transfer-related matters.
Thank you very much, Noble Crosby Annan, currently at the Parliament's Public Assurances Committee and the interrogation of the Transport Ministry there. Now, the President of the Association of Judges and Magistrates, Justice Henry Kofi, has condemned the actions of the anti-LGBTQ protesters who demonstrated against the delays in hearing the anti-LGBTQI cases. Now, on Tuesday, the co-sponsor of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, Sam George, leading a group of protesters, called out Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu for deliberately delaying the hearing of the anti-LGBTQ bill brought before the Supreme Court. But the President of the Association of Judges and Magistrates, Justice Henry Kofi, disagrees with the posture of the MP for Ningo Pampam. Take a listen.
And yet, in spite of this clear statement by the registrar on the sequence of events in the case, on Tuesday, 8 October 2024, a group of people went on demonstration and sought to enter the Supreme Court premises. Not only did these demonstrators seek to enter the Supreme Court premises, but they shouted abuses and insults at the judiciary as a whole, at her leadership, the Chief Justice, and demanded that judgment should be given in their favor in the LGBTQ cases. Now, the conduct of the demonstrators and their leaders, one of whom was a member of parliament, and the behavior they put up and the insults left much to be desired. It is worth pointing out that every court, from the district court through to the Supreme Court, has a procedure that has to be followed by every litigant before the case will be ripe for hearing. And no judge, not even Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, can torpedo that procedure and the rules of court. When people who are supposed to know better seek to stampede the judiciary, to attack the judiciary and to cause mayhem, that is a threat to the judicial institution and all that it stands for.
And you heard the President of the Association of Judges and Magistrates, Justice Henry Kofi. Let's bring you some political issues now. And the opposition National Democratic Congress has raised what it calls 10 critical issues regarding the printing of notices of polls and ballot papers. In a Facebook post, the NDC Director of Elections and IT, Dr. Edward Omanebuama, questioned why the Electoral Commission is planning on printing out ballot papers without certified voters register and the verification of the voters register. I'll just read one of the points to you. And the first point he makes is institutional decay. Currently, apart from the NDC, there's no institution or personality in this country that can courageously call this corrupt NPP government to order for commission of democratic excesses. Ayawaso West Wogon, he goes on to list other issues that the NDC has had in the past. Now, political party agents are also expected to report at the Electoral Commission's office today per the timetable given by the EC for orientation on the printing of the ballot papers. The printing of notices of poll and ballot papers will begin from tomorrow, Friday, October 11. Now, the Commission has already announced that the printing will take place at various printing houses, including Secprint Limited, New Achimota, Act Commercials, Odoko, Ghana Publishing Company, Accra Central, Back Press of Fanco, Inolink Limited, North Industrial Area, Fonstart Limited, South Industrial Area, Checkpoint Limited, South Industrial Area, and Yasako Company Limited, Latebio Koshi. Here's the NDC's Deputy Director of Elections and IT, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, speaking to us earlier about the concerns of the NDC ahead of this exercise.
Yes, we received the letter this afternoon, and we responded appropriately. We are not going to accept this, because if they are printing notices of poll, we have no problem. And you cannot print ballot papers when you don't have ballot statistics. You don't even know the register. You don't have a register. And then you are printing ballot papers. On what basis are you doing that? Yes, we have responded by a letter signed by the General Secretary, indicating our position that we don't subscribe to that. Well, we've also sent our letter to them, with them over it. That is our position. If we don't have the ballot statistics and then we have the code book of the register, we are not going to proceed with any printing of ballot papers. You cannot do that. It's illegal. On what basis are they going to do that? On which numbers or which figures are they going to print the ballot?
Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. Now, gridlock on the Accra-Kumasi Highway has persisted for over 8 hours, leaving drivers and passengers frustrated and stranded. The severe traffic jam has forced many passengers to abandon their vehicles and walk in an attempt to reach their destinations. The traffic is said to have been caused by ongoing construction works on that stretch. Yvonne Nekwe reports that local authorities are working to clear the blockage, but the sheer volume of vehicles and the ongoing construction efforts are complicating this very response. Yvonne joins us live on the line. Yvonne, can you tell us what the situation is like currently?
Well, the situation is not really improving from Atim Petre, JJT in Kawanda, number 1, number 2 to Nkoko. It's been over 3 hours just on that stretch. A lot of vehicles still on the street. We're seeing a handful of police trying to ensure that the vehicles do have access. It's been overwhelming for them. Very terrible experience on the stretch from morning to this afternoon, actually.
Aside from the construction works going on, what's really causing this?
Well, the construction work, I can't say is a major factor. The rest would say probably as the number of vehicles we're using the street. It is a highway. Long vehicles and other vehicles do ply it very quickly. Because of the space they have to use, we're seeing this enormous traffic on the stretch from morning 2 a.m. till now.
And this situation that we're witnessing now, is it just happening now or it's a regular occurrence?
Well, on a normal day, we do see a bit of traffic, but today's one has been overwhelming. I have tried this route on a number of days, even yesterday, but today's experience is out of the ordinary. Having to stay on the traffic I have been experiencing my own from 10 a.m. from JJT to Atim Petre to Kawanda. And so today's one really not the normal one we do have.
Thank you very much, Yvonne Nekwe. She's our correspondent in the Eastern region. Thank you for speaking to us and bringing us those details. Now, unhealthy working conditions, including stigma, discrimination, exposure to risks, harassment and job insecurity, can affect mental health at workplaces. 15% of workers in 2019, for instance, were estimated to have had mental health issues in Ghana. Globally, an estimated 12 billion working days are lost to depression and anxiety. As today marks World Mental Health Day, stakeholders in mental health services in the northern region are calling for an improved working environment which encompasses both the physical and psychological environment for workers and funding for mental health services. Christopher Marco is our man in that part of the country. He joins us live on the line. Chris, first of all, what do these professionals and stakeholders say about the mental health situation currently in the region? Hello, Castro. All right, we'll try and correct that line to Castro Senyala there, but let's hear this.
With regards funding for mental health, I would say it's disappointing, and we need to increase investments in mental health. And again, we want to use the opportunity of the World Mental Health Day on 10th October 2024 to call on government and employers and even employer associations such as the trade union, that in your bargaining for working conditions, to think about employee assistance programs that can help. Yes, to earn money is good, but you also need good working conditions that can help you enjoy the money you have. And we are also using the opportunity, because it's based on workplace mental health, to encourage employer organizations to create such working conditions that can help workers.
And we have an official there. Castro Senyala is on the line with us. Castro, can you tell us who we just heard? And I don't know whether you heard my first question, the situation of mental health. How is like currently in the northern region?
Yes, so briefly, I must say that mental health situation in the northern region is something that calls for worry, because you go to workplaces, people work overtime, people are unable to take the needed rest. Sometimes when they even close from work and they get to the house, they continue to work. Others also are unemployed, and all they think about is how to get a job doing. And so it's a serious concern for health professionals especially, and all they have been doing over the years is to ensure that they intensify advocacy and ensure that the residents get this message down and try to, as it were, get time out of their busy schedules to rest and to also have fun out there. And so the call is for employers and employees, especially this year's mental health theme, which is on mental health at workplaces, to ensure that they give workers good and conducive working environments.
Thank you very much, Christopher Marco. He's a man in the northern region. We stay up north, and multiple shots were heard on Wednesday afternoon at the Mesinga immigration checkpoint in Boko over a disagreement between the police and customs officers. The incident is said to have been caused by the refusal of the police for the customs officials to inspect the content of a truck leading to Togo. Castro Senyala is also a man there. He joins us live on the line. Castro, just tell us more about what happened.
Right, Beatrice, yes. So yesterday we got information that somewhere around this time, gunshots were being fired within the Misiga area in Boko. And after following up, I got to understand that it was a misunderstanding between the police and the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. We understand that the police caught up with a vehicle they had suspected of trying to smuggle cocoa beans into neighboring Togo, and then tried escorting it back to the Boko Police Divisional Command. But then there were issues with their counterparts at the customs who felt they were supposed to be doing that job. It escalated into tensions, and it resulted in fierce shooting among, these two security agencies. Later on, the military was called in, and thankfully they were able to bring the situation under control. As we speak now, Beatrice, Boko, and in particular Misiga, is quiet. People are going about their activities. Yesterday, the incident threw the town into a state of panic and fear. But as of this morning, I've been in constant touch with some residents there who have told me that everything is going on well. The police and military are still seen going around as they've always been doing. And the vehicle, too, I understand, has been handed over to the customs, and they are going ahead with their investigation and possibly handing over the vehicle that was transporting the cocoa beans to the right authority, and that is the Cocoa Board, to take further actions.
Everything is going on well now, but if you can tell us in about 60 seconds, really, this is not the first time this is happening. Can you tell us how often this has, and whether or not at this stage the Regional Security Council has decided to come in?
This is a quick one. Before I even go on to answer the question, residents of Upper East region are very disturbed. Considering that this attacks or clashes have become one too many. In April, the attacks began this year in April when there was clashes between the military and personnel of the Ghana Prison Service stationed at the Boko Central Prisons. Then shortly after that incident, we had another incident at Kulungugu, where we had immigration officers in a clash with customs officers over a truck that was entering Togo from Ghana. And then a month or two later, we witnessed clashes between the military and the police in Paga over the arrest of a military officer who was in Mufti. residents are yet to even forget about all these three. And then yesterday we woke up to the other clash where we had the police and the customs going head to head in this serious misunderstanding. And that, of course, has made residents to wonder what the security agencies really are in terms of trying to protect the integrity, the security of the country and ensuring that peace is restored in Boko.
Castro Sanyala is our Upper East Region correspondent speaking to us from there. And that's it for the news here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Have a good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. I am Lord Idwasari. Coming up, Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, charged government to leverage strategic partnerships to explore Ghana's natural resources.
In Africa's development, I declare that the world will have a much more dynamic partner than it's ever had.
Plus, access to finance and capital stifles private sector growth, according to the International Finance Corporation, IFC, who will hear from Senior Country Manager Kyle Kalofa.
Private sector capital to GDP is around 8, 9, 10% here in Ghana versus 20, 30% in Senegal, 40, 50% in Kenya, or 100 to 120% over in China and Vietnam.
These stories and others line up for you. Please stay.
If you're searching for a dial on radio that puts sunshine in your heart in stereo, look no further for no other than 92.7. Feel the heat in stereo.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, has charged government to leverage strategic partnerships to explore Ghana's natural resources to develop the country. Speaking at the launch of the Phase 1 of the Ghana Green Finance Taxonomy in Accra, he stressed the need to strike a balance between harnessing Ghana's natural resources for development and promoting green energy through partnerships.
It's probably the most well-endowed continent in terms of mineral resources. And awash with almost all the critical minerals that we think of. 90% of the world's platinum, 90% of the world's cobalt, 90% of the world's chromium, quite a significant proportion of coltan, not to mention lithium, bauxite, manganese, copper, gold. And yet, there has been pressure also on the continent to adopt more sustainable, environmentally friendly practices in mining, even in oil and gas. But we also do recognize that the continent needs these resources to develop. And so this calls for strategic partnerships, because in Africa's development, I declare that the world will have a much more dynamic partner than it's ever had.
You heard Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant. Meanwhile, speaking at the same event, Head of Banking Supervision at the Bank of Ghana, Osei JC charged specialized deposit-taking institutions, SDIs, and other non-bank financial institutions to integrate climate-related risk into their risk profile. He further stressed the central bank aims to build the capacities of these institutions on assessing climate-related risk.
Climate-related practices in Ghana survey saw responses from 86 diverse regulated financial institutions. The results indicated that while many banks in Ghana have made strides in addressing climate-related risks, more effort is needed from specialized deposit-taking institutions, SDIs, and other non-bank financial institutions to effectively integrate climate-related risks into their risk management profile and frameworks. Capacity building initiatives are currently underway aimed at key management and boards in banks to enhance awareness and encourage top management buy-in, along with internal training for bank supervisors and staff to raise awareness of emerging risks.
That was Head of Banking Supervision at Bank of Ghana, Osei JC, speaking on climate-related risk. Elsewhere, Senior Country Manager of International Finance Corporation, Kyle Kalofa, has underscored the need for sustainable financing opportunities for Ghana's private sector and small and medium enterprises. According to him, Ghana has one of the lowest private sector finances, GDP, in the Africa region, a situation he believes has crippled the sector's growth and need urgent attention. He spoke at a quarterly roundtable discussion by the Ministry of Finance and the University of Ghana on SME financing.
Had a lot of successes over the years, but with SMEs and in particularly access to finance, there's room for growth. Unfortunately, access to finance remains an issue. For a variety of reasons, access to finance, as we know, is not always the cause, but more of the symptom of an underlying cause. But the reality is, for instance, private sector capital to GDP is around 8, 9, 10% here in Ghana, versus 20, 30% in Senegal, 40, 50% in Kenya, or 100 to 120% over in China and Vietnam. What this means is, if you just drill down to those numbers, that the average SME over in Asia is 5 to 10 more likely to get access to critical finance. Now, what is that IFC doing about this? Well, IFC, in partnership with the government, we're trying to work on a variety of initiatives. And a key focus is providing advisory service and technical assistance, equipping SMEs for the necessary tools to access the finance and to secure financing, and help adhere to the relevant standards and procedures to enable their businesses to be more viable or more credible and help create the leaders for tomorrow.
Kyle Kalofa is the Senior Country Manager of International Finance Corporation, IFC. Now, the Ghana Statistical Service, GSS, is to conduct an accommodation unit survey. The main objective is to obtain baseline data to measure the level of supply and demand for commercial accommodation facilities in Ghana. According to 2024 Accommodation Unit Survey, Coordinator at the GSS, Dr. Ebenezer Kojo Okran, noted the survey is to enable the service to estimate the value of tourism industry and its contribution to gross domestic product.
Farmers to know the performance of these accommodation units throughout the whole year, because we are starting from starting from November to October for a year, we should be able to know their performance of the accommodation units. It will also help us in identifying key trends in the tourism sector, and it will also help the owners, then the managers to take decisions in terms of promotion and in terms of administration.
That was the 2024 Accommodation Unit Survey Coordinator at the Ghana Statistical Service, Dr. Ebenezer Kojo Okran.